The story of Easter is a difficult one to explain to kids. You want to shield them from the gore of what really happened. And if you notice a lot of the Easter books that, show pictures of the resurrection, it has Jesus on a cross with just a little trickle of blood, or, he's got something wrapped around him. But the facts are is that he was hanging there with nothing on, and he was beaten far beyond what a human even looked like. His beard was ripped out, and he was just a mess. And of course we're not going to make a storybook, an Easter storybook with a picture like that, but we do need to be aware that we need to teach our kids just really what Jesus went through for us, because kids can grow up thinking that, not really being able to grasp the agony of the cross. Of course, the agony of the cross was a lot of it, it was carrying the sin of us, but the physical agony of the cross of what he went through, children do need to think about that and understand that. And so, as I look around at different decorations and things that you would set out to get ready for Easter, everything is spring and flowers and happy, and I'm okay with that as far as that being spring. But when I'm celebrating Easter and the death and the burial and the resurrection of Jesus, I want to really think about what he went through, and just knowing what he went through gives us the appreciation of what he did for us. And it's not just the resurrection, it's the death, burial, and resurrection. That's the whole foundation of our Christian life. And so, when I think about maybe a few things that I could put out as visuals for our kids, and I was looking at the different wreaths. I had seen some different ideas, and I decided to go ahead and make one, and I did a crown of thorns as the wreath. And so it's here, and you can see the different thorns, and I mean they're toothpicks, but you can feel how that would feel if someone put that on your head and smashed it down. My husband had a job one time where there was a vine growing, and it was the vine that, I don't know if it was the same exact one, but the thorns on it were thorns like I'd never seen. And he brought some of it home, and he actually made a wreath with it. And it was, as he was working with it, and he would barely nick his finger, they would instantly start bleeding. It was really a great visual of what, just that aspect of the crucifixion, the crown of thorns. And it was very touching as he worked on it, and he poked himself a lot, and there was a lot of blood that was drawn because of that. And at the same time, a Christian camp had asked him to build a cross, and they measured it, and it was like the exact dimensions. And as they talked about it, they were talking about the arm span and where the nails would go, and it was a rough job to do, to actually build a cross, to put it up in the in a certain area of the Christian camp. But during that time of making that wreath, the crown of thorns, and that cross, we just realized how much more, what would you say, we were more in tune with the actual physical suffering. And so I think this is a really great craft to do, and you can have it, in your house, and you can explain to your kids and let them feel that. And so we're going to make this together. We'll go ahead and make another one, and I'll show you how it's done. It's really super easy. It's just a grapevine and toothpicks and a glue stick and some paint. So, and you could even have your kids make it with you. So that would be a really great opportunity to talk about, the suffering of what the Lord went through for us. So here's the supplies that you're going to need for this craft. Now, I've gotten a grapevine wreath. I just picked this up at Hobby Lobby. You could probably order it online. And an 8 to a 10-inch wreath. When I put the 8-inch wreath on my head, it seemed to be a little small. So I went ahead and got the 10-inch wreath. So you'll need that, and you'll need a pile of toothpicks. It all depends on how, these are the actual, going to be the thorns, so it depends on how many thorns you want to put in your crown. to be how many toothpicks and just a good pair of scissors. I've got a glue gun, some glue sticks, and then I've got some paint. Now this is, I had several different colors of brown in the garage, and so I chose this one, but if I don't like what it looks like when I paint it, I'll get the darker one and go over the top of it. So this is all you really need. So we're gonna get started. Now these toothpicks, if you were to stick these in here, I bet they're a bit overkill for a thorn. It just doesn't look right. And so I cut off, I left about 2/3 of the toothpick. So I just cut off 1/3 of it. And then when you stick it in, we'll see, you know, that looks a little more, the size looks a little more correct than what a long toothpick would be. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut a bunch of toothpicks to be about this size. You know, if you want to do something like the amount of thorns, if you're trying to teach, you know, whatever you're trying to teach in your lesson with your kids, you could use it as a number, like how many stripes they laid on him when they, you know, whipped him. Or you could have, when the disciple asked, how many times do I forgive someone? When they asked the Lord how many times, and he said 70 times 7. You could have like 70. So you could use this as an object lesson as well. But I'm just gonna start cutting some, and then we'll apply them into the crown. Okay, so I've cut all the toothpicks and I've made them more an appropriate size for a thorn. So you can find little cracks in here where you can just insert the toothpick like this, and then you're just going to put a drop of glue over it so it'll hold it in, and it'll just, you know, harden, and those will just stay in there really nice. So just kind of be artistic and turn them, you know, however which way, just like what a thorn branch would look like. And don't worry about how goopy and everything is, like the glue, because we're going to paint this whole thing when we're done. So you're not going to notice it. So however you get these on here, just get them on there, and then we'll clean it up later. So one thing that makes it a little bit easier is if you put the glue right on top of it like that, and then you kind of spin it, and it grabs the glue around the whole entire toothpick. So you'll notice, if you've ever worked with a hot glue gun, all this spider webby looking stuff, the glue as it's strung across everywhere. So just pull all that off. All the goopy glue, that's going to be covered with spray paint. But let's just try and pull all these strings. Alright, so as you can see, that's finished. That looks pretty good. And when we paint everything, it'll make it look really, really realistic. So I brought this outside just for overspray, and I just put on top of some butcher paper here, and we're just going to give this a nice even coat. And if I don't like the brown, then we'll go ahead and get another darker brown and put on top of it. So, you know, you can kind of play around with the colors. Aware of is that when you're painting it and you're going in one motion, it looks really nice, and then when you turn around from the other angle, the back sides of all the toothpicks are not painted. So you'll probably want to paint going this way and then come back and paint going that way, so that you make sure that you get, like I'm noticing there's some spots on these toothpicks that still need some paint. So you're probably going to have to just turn it all different ways and touch it up. But I think I like this color paint. I think I'm going to leave it. So this is done. You're just going to let it set and harden, and then you're totally finished with this activity. Well, hopefully that inspired you that maybe you might want to make a crown of thorns this year with your kids. And if you have any questions, it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward, but if you do have any questions or any problems, go ahead and ask them in the comments below, and I will get back with you and help you get through making one. So if you enjoyed this, I post a lot of stuff here on this channel. It's kind of an assortment of things. I've got, you know, cooking, and we've got building, we've got homesteading, we've got stuff for crafts for kids and different projects. So it's just a wide assortment of stuff that we put here on this channel. So if you enjoyed this and you want to follow along with the stuff that we put here, go ahead and subscribe and click that little bell so that you'll be notified each time that I put something here on my channel. So until next time, we'll see you later.